Buxton held the conviction that a young man might be very much what he pleased, provided he formed a strong resolution and held to it. Writing to one of his sons, he said to him, "You are now at that period of life, in which you must make a turn to the right or the left. You must now give proofs of principle, determination, and strength of mind. Or you must sink into idleness, and acquire the habits and character of a desultory, ineffective young man. Will find it no easy matter to rise again. Will find it no easy matter to rise again. I am sure that a young man may be very much what he pleases. In my own case it was so. Much of my happiness, and all my prosperity in life, have resulted from the change I made at your age. If you seriously resolve to be energetic and industrious, depend upon it that you will for your whole life have reason to rejoice that you were wise enough to form and to act upon that determination. As will, considered without regard to direction, is simply constancy, firmness, perseverance, it will be obvious that everything depends upon right direction and motives. Directed towards the enjoyment of the senses, the strong will may be a demon, and the intellect merely its debased slave. But directed towards good, the strong will is a king, and the intellect the minister of man's highest well-being. Where there is a will there is a way, is an old and true saying. He who resolves upon doing a thing, by that very resolution often scales the barriers to it, and secures its achievement. To think we are able, is almost to be so. To determine upon attainment is frequently attainment itself. Thus, earnest resolution has often seemed to have about it almost a savor of omnipotence. The strength of Thoreau's character lay in his power of willing, and, like most resolute persons, he preached it up as a system. You can only half will, he would say to people who failed. Like Richelieu and Napoleon, he would have the word impossible banished from the dictionary. I don't know, I can't, and impossible, were words which he detested above all others. Learn. Do. Try. He would exclaim. His biographer has said of him, that he furnished a remarkable illustration of what may be effected by the energetic development and exercise of faculties, the germs of which at least are in every human heart. One of Napoleon's favorite maxims was, "The truest wisdom is a resolute determination." His life, beyond most others, vividly showed what a powerful and unscrupulous will could accomplish. He threw his whole force of body and mind direct upon his work. Imbecile rulers and the nations they governed went down before him in succession. He was told that the Alps stood in the way of his armies. "There shall be no Alps," he said, and the road across the Simplon was constructed, through a district formerly almost inaccessible. "Impossible," said he, "is a word only to be found in the dictionary of fools." He was a man who toiled terribly, sometimes employing and exhausting 4 secretaries at a time. He spared no one, not even himself. His influence inspired other men, and put a new life into them. "I made my generals out of mud," he said. But all was of no avail. For Napoleon's intense selfishness was his ruin, and the ruin of France, which he left a prey to anarchy. His life taught the lesson that power, however energetically wielded, without beneficence, is fatal to its possessor and its subjects. And that knowledge, or knowingness, without goodness, is but the incarnate principle of evil. Our own Wellington was a far greater man. Not less resolute, firm, and persistent, but more self-denying, conscientious, and truly patriotic. Napoleon's aim was glory. Wellington's watchword, like Nelson's, was duty. The former word, it is said, does not once occur in his dispatches. The latter often, but never accompanied by any high-sounding professions. The greatest difficulties could neither embarrass nor intimidate Wellington, his energy invariably rising in proportion to the obstacles to be surmounted. The patience, the firmness, the resolution, with which he bore through the maddening vexations and gigantic difficulties of the Peninsular campaigns, is, perhaps, one of the sublimest things to be found in history. In Spain, Wellington not only exhibited the genius of the general, but the comprehensive wisdom of the statesman. Though his natural temper was irritable in the extreme, his high sense of duty enabled him to restrain it. And to those about him his patience seemed absolutely inexhaustible. His great character stands untarnished by ambition, by avarice, or any low passion. Though a man of powerful individuality, he yet displayed a great variety of endowment. The equal of Napoleon in generalship, he was as prompt, vigorous, and daring as Clive, as wise a statesman as Cromwell, and as pure and high-minded as Washington. The great Wellington left behind him an enduring reputation, founded on toilsome campaigns won by skillful combination, by fortitude which nothing could exhaust, by sublime daring, and perhaps by still sublimer patience. Energy usually displays itself in promptitude and decision. When Ledyard the traveler was asked by the African Association when he would be ready to set out for Africa, he immediately answered, "Tomorrow morning." Blecker's promptitude obtained for him the cognomen of Marshal Forwards throughout the Prussian army. When John Jervis, afterwards Earl St. Vincent, was asked when he would be ready to join his ship, he replied, "Directly." And when Sir Colin Campbell, appointed to the command of the Indian Army, was asked when he could set out, his answer was, "Tomorrow," an earnest of his subsequent success. For it is rapid decision, and a similar promptitude in action, such as taking instant advantage of an enemy's mistakes, that so often wins battles. "At Arcola," said Napoleon, "I won the battle with 25 horsemen. I seized the moment of lassitude, gave every man a trumpet, and gained the day with this handful." Two armies are two bodies which meet and endeavor to frighten each other. A moment of panic occurs, and that moment must be turned to advantage. "Every moment lost," said he at another time, "gives an opportunity for misfortune." And he declared that he beat the Austrians because they never knew the value of time. While they dawdled, he overthrew them.